I can't cry anymore. China's housing market might crash by another 50%. House prices have crashed so hard that I can't even cry anymore. Suzhou's property market is in ruins, but this is just the beginning. Shenzhen's housing prices have already been slashed by 50%, and Shanghai is next. If the rental-to-sale ratio returns to normal, Suzhou's prices still need to plunge another 30%. And if prices keep falling by just 20% more, the unlucky buyers from 2021 to 2023 who bought at the peak will likely default on their mortgages. Once that starts, foreclosures will flood the market, increasing supply and dragging prices down even further. It's a vicious cycle heading straight toward systemic collapse. In 2022, Asia Finance predicted this. Housing prices in China would fall by 50%, and even Shanghai's luxury homes would be sold for half. Without drastic reform in the next year, that 50% drop will become reality. As 2025 begins, China's real estate market is in freefall. Owners are drowning in debt, job losses are rampant, and the market has collapsed. Shanghai's once proud middle class is now trapped in a nightmare of endless mortgage payments and falling home values. People are finally speaking out about this brutal housing crash because the pain has become unbearable. The Shanghai middle class is collapsing, and their only outlet is to cry out online. One video recently went viral, a 30-year-old Shanghai homeowner breaking down in tears. He worked in the IT industry with a once solid income of 30,000 yuan per month. Hoping to build a future in the city, he bought a modest 95-square-meter 3-bedroom apartment in Juqiao, Pudong for 5.5 million yuan, 58,000 yuan per square meter. He scraped together a 2 million yuan down payment with help from his parents, then took a 30-year mortgage for the remaining 3.5 million yuan, with monthly payments of 19,631 yuan. But in 2020, the tech industry began its brutal layoffs. He was among the first to be let go. Months passed without landing another job paying over 20,000 yuan. The crushing weight of mortgage payments and daily expenses pushed him to the brink. Out of options, he asked his girlfriend to sell the home and move back to his hometown together. She refused, saying she wouldn't hold him back, and broke up with him. Heartbroken and desperate, he put the apartment on the market. Initially listed at 6 million yuan, not a single buyer showed up. The agent told him flatly, the location was poor, the environment worse. If he really wanted to sell, he'd have to list it at 3.5 million yuan. He was shocked. His apartment had lost half its value overnight. His down payment and years of repayments, gone. With no way to continue paying, he stopped altogether. 3 months later came the court summons. The bank was suing him. The judgment? Bad faith default, breach of contract. He owed 120,867 yuan in fees and fines. And now he was officially blacklisted as a dishonest debtor. If he didn't pay up in time, interest would pile up and enforcement would follow. He broke down in tears. All I did was buy a home. Why does it feel like I'm being punished for it? Can't I just lose the 2.47 million and walk away? Why must I be pushed into total ruin? Online, thousands commented with sympathy, but no one had any answers. The Chinese government has repeatedly launched rescue plans to stabilize the property market, but the market continues to spiral out of control. Once again, the authorities are calling for stability, but this time, many are openly questioning, how can you stabilize something that's already collapsing? Mainland netizens say the reality is brutal. China's property market is in a nosedive, and ordinary families are watching their life savings vanish. Confidence in the future is shattered. People are cutting back on spending, paralyzed by fear, and the economy is sinking deeper into deflation. At the end of last year, global credit agencies turned sharply pessimistic. Goldman Sachs warned that housing prices in China could plunge another 20% to 25%. The reason? As urbanization slows and the demographic dividend fades, the oversupply crisis in the real estate market is now impossible to ignore. On top of that, constant government intervention has completely drained the momentum that once drove housing prices up. Goldman Sachs also pointed out a terrifying number. China's total real estate debt has ballooned to 59 trillion yuan. Just the annual interest on this debt exceeds 1 trillion yuan, choking developers with unrelenting financial pressure. Morgan Stanley echoed the warning, predicting that China's housing market will remain stagnant through 2025, with prices likely to fall another 9%. The free fall isn't over, it's only gaining speed. This is Xiongan, a place where nearly 1 trillion yuan has been invested. It's truly spotless, so clean that there's not even a speck of dust on the ground, not even a single footprint. One would think that with such a grand reputation, the Xiongan new area should be a bustling city, but who could have imagined that the reality would be like this? The train station is magnificent, and the square is quite impressive. The Xiongan station is indeed grand and spectacular. It is known as the largest high-speed railway station in Asia. However, aside from lacking people, it has everything else. The main hall has maybe a dozen people at most. Almost no one is there. It feels empty and incredibly spacious. If we're talking about the most deserted high-speed railway station, Xiongan could claim second place, and no other place would dare claim first. On the upper left is the residential area of Xiongan. The entire zone is housing. The Xiongan new area once received massive investment with deficits in the trillions. So what has become of this new city now? Many people say Xiongan new area has built quite a few buildings, but there are no people on the streets. If you want a break from Beijing, Xiongan isn't a bad option, simply because it's not crowded at all. In fact, it's arguably one of a kind in the world. The Xiongan new area, a 1,000-year project of the Chinese Communist Party, has now entered its 8th year since its establishment. Recently, a netizen visited Xiongan and found it to resemble a ghost town with its commercial zones and streets eerily empty. Hardly a soul in sight, like a post-apocalyptic setting. Some analysts believe the Xiongan project was an impulsive decision by Xi Jinping's leadership and may ultimately end in complete failure. Although people call Xiongan a city of hope and innovation, in my opinion, without a population, all of that is meaningless. The commercial area is not small, yet it's clear that hardly any businesses are operating. One relatively active area is around the exhibition center, along with the Zhongguancun high-tech zone, which is doing slightly better. Other parts, including the resettlement housing in the south, are just passable. Most remaining areas seem either still under construction or awaiting tenants. Often, population is the soul of a city. Xiongan's streets are extremely clean, precisely because there are so few people. But because of that, Xiongan feels soulless. Only when it can attract residents and create a lively atmosphere will development truly begin. However, I think that might still take quite a long time. Some people ask me about buying property. I don't recommend buying in Xiongan. There are too many uncertainties. The current economic environment is already difficult. Why make it harder on yourself? Just avoiding self-inflicted hardship is lucky enough these days. Most of the buildings you see are empty, but to be fair, a small portion of the ground floor shops in some buildings have actually opened. That means things are slightly better than the previous year. But how much better, really? I advise everyone. If there comes a day when Xiongan starts enrolling university students, when universities and schools around are built and policies are in place to retain graduates, only then should you consider coming to Xiongan. Things might be different then, but all of this? Well, I'm just saying, in reality, it's all still quite distant. A video filmed by a netizen shows that although Xiongan is filled with high-rise buildings, it is virtually an empty city. The Xiongan new area has been officially established. According to China Central Television, CCTV, there are currently over 380 key projects in the Xiongan new area, with more than 670 billion yuan already invested. Central state-owned enterprises have set up over 200 branches of various kinds in the area, and infrastructure such as roads, integrated underground utility corridors, and cloud-based smart services have been built. However, netizens who have recently visited report seeing a very different reality. Xiongan remains a vast, empty city. The place where we parked is called the Xiongan Citizen Service Center. According to the signboard, it is an office and commercial area. From the outside, the rate of businesses in operation appears quite low. For instance, one building looks completely empty, possibly with no one inside. We went in to check and saw a restaurant named Jinbai He. It's unclear whether it's open. Stepping onto the small wooden steps, the ground was quite clean, but inside, although there were tables and chairs, everything was shut down. The area looked deserted. There was even a sign that said, "Disinfected today," possibly dating back to April of 2020, 2021, or 2022. The door wouldn't even open. This place was completely deserted, even though it was a Saturday afternoon. I'm currently at an outlet shopping area in the Xiongan New area, Hebei. It's a newly built city, quite clean, but there aren't many people. They've built a large plaza here, but it's not crowded at all. Up ahead is a food court with a Mixue Bingcheng, and further on is a supermarket. It's sad for the restaurants and small businesses here. There aren't many customers and few people go in to eat. The scene is truly quiet and cool. Looking at each store one by one, there are hardly any people, mainly food stalls. Life here is really not easy. The place is extremely quiet. Look at the sanitation workers. This is a national highway, but red and green lights don't even matter anymore because there are no people. Utterly quiet. Xiongan New area was originally designated to offload non-capital functions of Beijing. It was a major project strongly pushed by President Xi Jinping after he came to power and was referred to as a Millennium Plan. Experts believe that since Xi Jinping took office, he has continuously proposed massive projects and strategies, most of which have turned into unfinished ventures, from the Belt and Road Initiative to the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, from the 10 trillion yuan chip initiative to the Millennium Plan of the Xiongan New area. Some even suggest that Xi still has one last super unfinished project to complete: the collapse of the Chinese Communist Party. One plot of land, designated for a school, is still covered in weeds. Construction has likely not even started. Only one sanitation worker is seen sweeping. Across the street is the Beijing Union General Hospital. Further along is the Xiongan campus of the University of Science and Technology Beijing. Like the school before, it has not been built, only fenced off with a promotional sign, with no actual construction started and no signs of activity. Another fenced-off plot opposite it has no name posted, its purpose unclear. This is the main gate of the China University of Geosciences, which has security guards and does not allow strangers inside, though the internal road has already been paved. The fourth university is the Xiongan campus of Beijing Jiaotong University, the last among the four. After chatting with a security guard and asking when the project would be completed, he simply replied that he didn't know. From a video uploaded by a netizen, it's clear that the luxurious high-speed railway station is nearly deserted, with very few people passing through. Netizens commented that it's normal for a high-speed rail station built as part of the Millennium Plan to have no people. After all, a Millennium Plan cannot succeed overnight. Xiongan High-Speed Railway Station, dubbed the largest in Asia, is also eerily empty. This is the Xiongan High-Speed Rail Station. Can you imagine what the passenger flow here will be like in a few years? Visiting Xiongan Station in the Xiongan New area, even though it's the largest high-speed railway station in Asia, there are still very few passengers. The West Square has already opened for use. The commercial area in front of the station, corporate headquarters, exhibition and convention centers, and residential buildings are basically complete. Right now, it's 10:34 in the morning, not a single person in sight. Look over there. That's the food and oil vendor. Over here, I'm selling sunflower seeds, milk powder, and laundry detergent. Just look, completely empty. Tell me, who are we supposed to sell to? Is it possible to make money in the food and beverage industry in the Xiongan new area? It's currently 11:30 a.m. I was just about to grab a bite to eat, so let me show you around at the same time. This street is the busiest commercial street in the Rongdong resettlement area of the Xiongan new area. This is the largest shopping mall on this street. It's also home to the first KFC in Rongdong. Lining both sides of the street are restaurants, big and small. This is a hot pot restaurant. I've eaten here before, the taste is quite good, but there are no customers. Standing at this intersection, looking at the flow of people and vehicles, well, there are some people. Keep walking forward, and there are still a few more restaurants. Both sides of the street are lined with eateries. This one looks fairly upscale, but when you look through the window, there's no one inside, hardly anyone dining. A restaurant that large must cost a fortune to run. If they're not pulling in tens of thousands of yuan per day, they really can't stay afloat. Some analysts say the Xiongan new area was personally planned and hastily launched by Xi Jinping. Its massive high-speed rail station spans 475,200 square meters, 6 times the size of Beijing Railway Station. Now, the area is seen as a typical unfinished project, mocked as a future ghost city.